In the vast silence of the cosmos, there lies a question that has haunted humanity since the dawn of time. What happens when we die? The stars above, burning through eons, seem to whisper a hidden truth, one that challenges the finality of death itself. Science has always defined death as the end, the ceasing of function, the collapse of the biological machine. Yet quantum physics, strange and beautiful, suggests something far more mysterious. What if your consciousness never truly experiences the moment of death? What if reality itself rearranges so that, from your point of view, you always survive? The concept of quantum immortality isn't born from fantasy, but from one of the most bizarre interpretations of quantum mechanics. It suggests that every possible outcome of every event exists, and you, as the observer, only ever experience the ones in which you continue. It's not resurrection, but continuity, a thread that refuses to break, a flicker of awareness that leaps across timelines, avoiding oblivion. In one universe you die, but in another you live on. And from your own perspective, that life never stops. So do you ever really die, or does consciousness simply find another path through the infinite corridors of existence? Quantum immortality finds its roots in the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, a theory proposed by physicist Hugh Everett in 1957. He suggested that every quantum event, every decision, every random chance splits the universe into countless new ones. In each world, another version of you exists, living out a different fate. In one universe, you turn left. In another, you turn right. In one, you succeed. In another, you fail. And somewhere, always, you survive. The multiverse isn't a distant fantasy. It's an unavoidable implication of quantum math, where every possibility must exist somewhere. Visualize infinite mirrors, reflecting endless versions of yourself, each slightly different, yet all real. In this view, death is never absolute, only relative, an ending seen from outside, but never from within. To the you that dies, awareness ceases, but to the you that lives, life simply continues. Consciousness, it seems, might be the thread weaving through every possible world, binding them together in eternal observation. The universe does not erase you. It only branches endlessly, beautifully, without end. Imagine standing at the edge of death, your body failing, senses fading, the world dissolving into silence. To everyone around you, the story is over. Yet from your own perspective, something impossible happens. Awareness flickers, reality shifts, and you awaken once again. It may not be in the same world or even the same form, but it continues. According to the logic of quantum immortality, you can never experience your own death because consciousness only exists in realities where it survives. Like a flame jumping from candle to candle, your awareness persists wherever it can. In one branch of reality, your heart stops. In another, the doctor revives you. In yet another, the accident never happens at all. You never feel the moment of death, only the seamless continuation of life. This theory turns mortality into illusion, suggesting that what we call death is merely the collapsing of one universe's version of you, while another carries on. It's a chilling, exhilarating, and deeply unsettling thought that from your own eyes, you are truly eternal. At the heart of this idea lies one powerful question: what is consciousness? Quantum mechanics tells us that observation changes reality. Particles behave differently when watched. The act of measurement collapses infinite probabilities into one single outcome. But if consciousness itself is the observer, then perhaps it plays a far greater role than we realize. Maybe awareness doesn't just see the universe, it creates the version it experiences. This would mean that death, as seen from your inner awareness, is impossible. You can't observe your own non-existence. The mind simply moves to the next branch where observation continues. Like a film cutting seamlessly between scenes, reality edits itself to preserve your conscious perspective. You are both the viewer and the viewed, the dreamer who never stops dreaming, even as worlds rise and fall around you. Perhaps this is why we fear death, not because we know it, but because we can never truly meet it face to face. Consciousness is the ultimate survivor, the observer that the universe refuses to silence. If the universe is infinite, then every possible version of you exists somewhere, living out endless variations of your story. In one world, you're watching this documentary. In another, you never existed to begin with. But quantum immortality suggests that your consciousness is bound to follow the line where it continues to exist. always finding the next moment where survival occurs. In this sense, the universe itself becomes a machine for continuity, a vast self-correcting web of probabilities ensuring awareness never truly ceases. Even when everything falls apart, when the body fails and the stars fade, consciousness simply finds another path through the maze of reality. The camera drifts across collapsing stars and reborn galaxies, symbolizing that even death is part of an eternal recycling of experience. To the outside world, lifetimes come and go. To you, it is a single, unbroken stream. The universe doesn't end. It just changes shape around you, like a story that refuses to close its final chapter. Skeptics call quantum immortality wishful thinking, a misunderstanding of quantum mechanics, twisted by human hope. They argue that consciousness cannot simply jump between universes. Physics doesn't allow for awareness to migrate, yet the mystery remains unsolved. What is consciousness, and where does it truly reside? Is it inside the brain, or is it a property of the universe itself? If the mind is entangled with reality on a quantum level, perhaps it doesn't need to move. Perhaps it's already connected to every possible version of you that could exist. Like a radio tuning between frequencies, awareness simply aligns with the timeline where it continues. Whether or not this can ever be proven, the thought alone reshapes our perception of existence. It paints death not as a wall, but as a veil, thin, shimmering, and perhaps not as final as we believe. Even if science cannot yet measure it, the question lingers, humming quietly at the edge of every human heartbeat. If quantum immortality is true, then somewhere, in some corner of infinity, there's a version of you who never stops living. But what does it mean to be you across countless universes? Are all those versions truly you, or just echoes of a pattern? Perhaps identity itself is fluid, stretching across the multiverse like a ripple in an endless sea. You are not one being, but a chorus of possibilities, singing across existence. Each moment you choose, each breath you take, carves a new world, a new path. In one life you might grow old, in another you might not. But to the consciousness observing it all, there is only the continuous now. Time becomes irrelevant when you never reach an end. The thought is both comforting and terrifying. Eternal existence without final peace, endless awareness without closure. Yet maybe in that infinite unfolding lies the true beauty of being, the miracle that consciousness endures, even as everything else changes. Quantum immortality sits on the thin border between physics and philosophy, science and spirituality. Some see it as a cold, mathematical inevitability. Others see it as the universe's hidden compassion. Religion has long promised eternal life, but here physics itself whispers a similar story, one told not through faith, but through probability. The multiverse could be the mechanism behind the soul's journey, the scientific echo of reincarnation. Consciousness may not ascend to heaven, but instead slides smoothly into another quantum branch, unaware of the shift. You don't awaken in paradise, you awaken in continuity. The same mind, the same awareness, moving forward as though nothing changed. It's an unsettling harmony between science and soul. The idea that immortality doesn't need divine intervention. It might simply be built into the structure of reality itself. Perhaps the line between physics and faith has always been thinner than we think. If you can never truly die, what does that mean for meaning itself? Mortality gives life urgency, a reason to love, to act, to dream. Without it, existence could stretch into endless repetition, each world a mirror of the last. Quantum immortality might free you from death, but not from the human condition. Pain, loss, loneliness. These two would continue, branching infinitely. You might awaken in worlds that look the same, but feel different, haunted by an unspoken truth, that you can never truly escape existence. The idea of eternal life becomes both a blessing and a curse. You live forever, but perhaps never find peace. In this way, immortality becomes its own kind of prison, a consciousness drifting endlessly through realities, searching for an ending that never comes. The universe, generous and cruel, keeps the flame of awareness burning, whether you want it to or not. Every living being experiences death as inevitable, a final curtain that closes all stories. But quantum immortality challenges that certainty, arguing that death is not a wall, but a doorway that only others see close. From within your own mind, existence continues uninterrupted. You never feel the blackout. You only experience the next moment of awareness. The universe, infinitely branching, always contains a version where your survival is guaranteed. The illusion of death exists only for the observers in other timelines. From their eyes, you are gone. From yours, you are simply elsewhere. As if consciousness is wired into reality itself, unable to be deleted, only rerouted. Despite all we know, consciousness remains the universe's greatest enigma. Science can map the brain, but it cannot explain why experience exists at all. Why does matter think? Why does the universe need to observe itself through eyes like ours? If awareness is fundamental, perhaps it cannot be destroyed, only transformed. Like energy, consciousness may shift forms, forever conserved within the cosmic equation. The camera moves through galaxies like neurons firing in a cosmic brain, suggesting that consciousness and the universe are reflections of one another, endlessly aware. As the documentary ends, one question remains. If consciousness never ends, what is the purpose of existence? Maybe life is not about endings, but about exploring infinite possibilities. Every experience, every loss, is the universe learning what it means to exist. The stars shimmer as if reflecting your own awareness back at you. Countless versions of yourself, all asking the same question. Who am I? Perhaps death is just the universe blinking, and when it opens its eyes again, you are still there, still watching, still alive.